Nova Terra was a beautiful world. Blue skies stretched over green plains, and rivers flowed like silver lines across the land. The colony had grown for 20 years. It was home to farmers, builders, teachers, and families who believed they had found peace among the stars. Children played near the water stations while workers prepared the fields for the next harvest. People smiled when they spoke of the future. Adrian, the colony leader, stood at the central plaza that morning. He was a tall man with calm eyes, and his voice often gave hope to others. He looked at the sky and felt proud. Nova Terra was strong, and its people were happy. He believed nothing could harm them so far from old wars. Lena, a teacher, walked through the plaza with a group of children. She waved to Adrian and laughed when one of the kids ran ahead. They were planning a small festival for the evening. Music and lights would fill the streets, and everyone was excited. The colony was like a big family. In the control station, Tom checked the communication screens. He saw the clear space around the planet. Everything was quiet. No signs of trouble. He wrote in the log, "All systems normal." Tom liked days like this. Peace was good, and Nova Terra had enjoyed peace for a long time. Then the alarms began to sound. It started as a faint signal from the outer sensors. A red light flashed, and Tom leaned closer. The signal grew stronger. Multiple contacts. He tried to open the long-range scan. When the image appeared, his face turned pale. Dozens of ships. No, hundreds. Unknown design. Moving fast toward Nova Terra. Tom slammed the alert button. Sirens screamed across the colony. Adrian heard them and ran to the station. "What is it?" he shouted. "Ships," Tom said. "Alien ships. Big ones. They are not friendly." People in the plaza looked at the sky as bright points appeared above the clouds. The festival lights were forgotten. Fear spread like fire. Parents grabbed their children. Workers left their tools. Soldiers ran to the armory, but they knew their rifles and light defense drones were nothing against warships. Adrian spoke into the colony network. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. "Everyone, find shelter. Stay calm. Do as we trained." He turned to Tom. "Send a distress signal to Earth. Now." Tom worked fast. The signal carried the words, "Nova Terra under attack. Unknown enemy. Help us." He sent it on all channels, all bands, even the old emergency frequencies. Then he looked at Adrian. "Message sent, but it will take days to reach them." Adrian nodded. Days they did not have. The sky burned. Massive ships broke through the clouds. They were black like stone and covered with glowing red lines. Strange symbols moved across their hulls. When they opened fire, the world changed in seconds. Beams of energy cut through the ground. Buildings exploded. The sound was like thunder that never ended. People ran in every direction. Some tried to hide in the shelters. Others stood frozen, staring at the fire raining from the sky. The colony defense guns fired, but their shots bounced off the enemy shields like dust on steel. Adrian grabbed a child and pushed him toward Lena. "Get them to the underground tunnels," he said. Lena held the child's hand and ran with the others. Smoke filled the streets. Ash fell like black snow. The festival decorations caught fire and vanished. Tom stayed at his post, sending the signal again and again. His screen showed the enemy closing fast. He whispered to himself, "Come on, Earth, hear us." The alien ships hovered above the colony like shadows. Then something even worse happened. Smaller craft dropped from the main ships. They landed on the streets and released machines that crawled on many legs. The machines burned everything they touched. Homes, gardens, even water tanks turned to flames. Adrian fought to lead people to safety, but the heat grew stronger, and the air smelled of smoke. The colony that had taken 20 years to build was falling in less than 20 minutes. Adrian looked up and saw the largest ship in the sky. Its size covered the sun. He felt anger and sorrow, but he could not stop them. He had only one hope: that Earth would hear and answer. In the control station, Tom watched the final screen flicker. He smiled sadly and pressed the button one last time. The signal left the planet like a thin beam of light. Then the station exploded, and Tom was gone. Above Nova Terra, the alien ships rose into the sky. Their fire had turned green fields into black ruins. The rivers boiled away. Smoke climbed toward the stars. When the last ship left orbit, Nova Terra was silent. Far away, across the dark of space, a message moved between stars. It carried the last cry of a dying world. It said that Nova Terra had fallen. It called for vengeance. And on Earth, that cry was about to be heard. The signal from Nova Terra traveled through the endless dark for 6 days. It passed through silent systems and dead stars until it reached the solar gate near Neptune. The huge listening station caught the transmission and sent an alert to Earth Command. Inside the main hall of the United Earth Council in Geneva, a giant screen flashed red. The words were clear: emergency message detected. Technicians rushed to decode the signal. When the image appeared, the room grew silent. It was Adrian. His face filled the screen. Smoke rose behind him, and his voice was broken but strong. "This is Nova Terra," he said. "We are under attack by unknown ships. They are destroying everything. Please, if you hear this, do not let our people die in vain." Then the screen went black. No one spoke for a long time. The council members stared at each other. Some covered their mouths in shock. Others clenched their fists. Nova Terra had been a peaceful colony. It had no enemies. This was not war. This was slaughter. General Marcus stood near the end of the table. His eyes were cold, his jaw tight. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. "Play it again," he said. The message ran one more time. When it ended, Marcus looked around the hall. "We all know what this means. Someone attacked our people. They think we are weak. They think we will do nothing." He paused. "They are wrong." Counselor May leaned forward. "General, are we certain it was aliens? Could this be a human group gone rogue?" Marcus shook his head. "No human fleet has ships like that. Our deep sensors picked up energy spikes from unknown drives. This is something from outside. Something big." Another counselor whispered, "What do they want from us?" Marcus answered, "It does not matter what they want. They burned a colony. They killed families. We will answer." The council room filled with voices. Some wanted diplomacy. Others shouted for immediate war. But then the president of the United Earth Council, an older man named Heron, stood. He raised his hand, and the room fell silent. "We swore that the age of silence was over," Heron said. "We swore that humans would never be prey. Nova Terra believed in that promise. Today they are gone. Tomorrow, if we do nothing, Earth could be next." He looked at Marcus. "General, is the Titan fleet ready?" Marcus nodded once. "It is ready." The room shifted. The Titan fleet. A name spoken in whispers for years. For 2 decades, Earth had been building in secret. While other species explored trade and diplomacy, humans prepared for the worst. They learned from every war in their history. They built not one fleet, but an armada. 500,000 warships, from small escorts to giant dreadnoughts. It was the most powerful force humanity had ever created. And no one outside Earth had seen it. Counselor May spoke softly. "If we launch the Titan fleet, there is no turning back." Marcus's voice was like steel. They have already declared war. We will finish it. The vote began. Screens lit up across the hall. One by one, the lights turned green. When the last light appeared, the decision was clear. Earth was going to war. Marcus left the hall and entered the command center. The room was a circle of screens showing every fleet in the system. Mars shipyards glowed with energy as new warships finished construction. Luna base loaded missile silos. The Jupiter stations activated slipstream gates for long-range jumps. Marcus opened the main channel. His voice reached every captain, every soldier, every pilot in the Titan fleet. This is General Marcus. You all know why I speak today. Nova Terra is gone. Our brothers and sisters were burned by an enemy who thought we would break. They were wrong. They will learn what it means to fight humans. Prepare for deployment. Operation Iron Dawn begins now. Across the solar system, thousands of engines lit up. Warships the size of cities powered on. Carriers launched drones for final checks. Dock crews moved like a river of shadows, loading ammunition and fuel. Soldiers stood in rows as officers gave commands. The silence of space broke as the Titan fleet roared to life. Marcus watched the screens. The numbers were staggering. 500,000 ships. 20 million soldiers. Every unit ready. This was not a fleet. This was vengeance forged into steel. He turned to his second-in-command, a sharp-eyed woman named Arya. How soon can we jump? 3 days, sir, Arya said. Slipstream gates will align by then. Marcus nodded. 3 days until humanity strikes back. 3 days until the galaxy learns the truth, humans do not forgive. Outside Earth, the black sky glittered with stars. Soon, those stars would see fire. And far away, in the heart of alien space, the Zarath Dominion celebrated their victory. They did not know what was coming for them. They did not know that a storm of iron and light was about to fall. 3 days passed like a heartbeat. The solar system was no longer calm. It had become a storm of metal and fire. From Mercury to Neptune, every station worked without rest. War factories burned with light as they built weapons for the greatest fleet in human history. The Titan fleet was ready. General Marcus stood in the command chamber on Luna base. A wall of glass showed the dark space outside, filled with ships. They stretched across the sky like a silver ocean. Dreadnoughts floated beside carriers, and swarms of smaller warships moved in perfect lines. Every engine glowed like a star. Arya, his second-in-command, walked to his side. All fleets report ready, sir. Jupiter Gate is stable. We can begin the jump sequence. Marcus nodded. He looked at the giant map on the screen. Red marks showed Zarath space. They had no idea what was coming. Order the Armada to move to staging orbit, Marcus said. And open the fleet channel. A soft tone rang as the channel opened. Across the system, millions of soldiers listened. Marcus spoke slowly, his voice steady. This is General Marcus. In a few hours, we will leave home. We are going to a place where our people were killed. Nova Terra was more than a colony. It was a dream. And that dream was burned. The ones who did this believe we will hide. They believe humans will break. They are wrong. We will show them who we are. We are the children of Earth, and we do not bow. His voice grew firm. Our mission is clear: protect humanity, and make sure no one dares to harm us again. For Nova Terra. Across thousands of ships, soldiers raised their fists and shouted the same words, for Nova Terra. The Titan fleet began to move. Engines roared as the great ships left orbit and headed for the slipstream gates near Jupiter. The sight was beyond words. Lines of warships stretched farther than the eye could see. Some ships were small and fast, built for strikes. Others were so large they carried entire cities inside, with farms and hospitals for long campaigns. Above them, dreadnoughts floated like mountains of steel. As they approached the gates, the massive structures came alive. Rings of energy spun faster and faster, creating a glowing tunnel in the darkness. The slipstream gates were humanity's greatest invention, able to cut weeks of travel into minutes. This was the path to vengeance. In the command ship, Helios Prime, Marcus and his officers watched the readings. Arya spoke calmly. First wave ready. Coordinates locked. Marcus gave a single order. Begin the jump. The first group of ships entered the gate. They vanished into a storm of light, leaving only ripples in space. Then the second group followed. Soon, thousands of ships were disappearing every minute. It was like watching an ocean drain into another world. While the fleet jumped, the council back on Earth monitored the process. They knew there was no turning back now. Earth had crossed the line. This was war against the Zarath Dominion. Inside one of the carriers, young soldiers prepared for battle. They checked their rifles and armor while screens played Adrian's last message. His voice filled the room, "Do not let our people die in vain." The soldiers stayed silent, but their eyes burned with anger. None of them wanted peace talks. They wanted justice. On the Zarath side of the galaxy, life was calm. Their fleets were scattered, guarding trade routes. Their leaders sat in crystal halls, speaking of power and glory. They laughed when they heard humans had colonies. To them, humans were small and weak. They thought Nova Terra's destruction would keep humans afraid forever. They did not know a storm was coming. Back at the Helios Prime, the jump timer reached 0. Marcus stood at the center of the command deck as the last wave prepared to leave. He looked at Earth on the screen one final time. The blue planet shone bright, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Then he turned to his crew. Activate the final jump. A wave of white light filled the deck. The stars outside twisted and vanished. The Helios Prime and the last of the Titan fleet entered the slipstream. For a few moments, there was only silence and light. Then the fleet emerged in the outer edge of Zarath space. Ahead lay dark suns and red worlds. Alien signals filled the scanners. Marcus spoke softly, but everyone heard him. "We are here." The fleet spread out like a spear. Scouts moved forward. Weapons systems came online. Rail cannons hummed with power. Quantum shields flared blue. The humans were ready for their first strike. Marcus gave the final order for the day. Set course for Zarath border worlds. Begin Operation Iron Dawn. The fleet moved as one. In the dark space ahead, the enemy waited, unaware that vengeance had come. The Titan fleet moved through the silent dark like a tide of steel. Ahead lay the first Zarath border system, a cluster of red suns and barren worlds. No life, no cities, only outposts and patrol stations. To the Zarath Dominion, this was a quiet corner. To Earth, it was the beginning of vengeance. On the command deck of the Helios Prime, General Marcus studied the map. Red icons marked enemy stations. Blue icons showed his own ships spreading like a net. He spoke calmly. "Arya, status." "All ships in position," Arya replied. Her voice was sharp but steady. "Scouts confirm 2 Zarath patrol fleets. 30 ships each. They have not detected us yet." Marcus's eyes hardened. "They will soon." The order came like a whisper. "Engage." Human warships moved forward with silent grace. Rail cannons powered up. Plasma launchers locked targets. When the first Zarath patrol saw them, it was too late. The humans struck like lightning. In the black of space, the battle began with a flash. The lead Zarath cruiser exploded under a storm of rail slugs. Another ship broke apart as plasma fire tore through its hull. Human destroyers swarmed the enemy like hunting wolves. The Zarath ships tried to return fire, but their beams splashed harmlessly against human quantum shields. On the Zarath command ship, chaos spread. "What are these vessels?" an officer shouted. "Their weapons too strong." The captain snarled, "Signal the Dominion. Tell them." His words ended as a rail slug punched through the bridge, breaking the ship into two burning pieces. In less than 5 minutes, the first patrol was gone. The second fleet tried to flee, but Earth's interceptors cut them down. The survivors screamed warnings into the void before silence claimed them. Marcus stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the tactical screen. "Report. Enemy patrols eliminated," Arya said. "No human losses." Marcus gave a single nod. "Send the message." A signal burst across the Zarath channels. It was simple, made of 3 words spoken in a calm voice: "For Nova Terra." Far away, the Zarath Dominion received the broken signals from their dying fleets. The council halls filled with confusion. For centuries, the Zarath had ruled without fear. Now they listened to static and a name they did not know: Nova Terra. Who were these attackers? Why did they strike with such power? The council sent orders: deploy fleets. Crush them. But they had no idea what they faced. Back at the Helios Prime, the Titan fleet advanced deeper. Human ships attacked outposts, silencing them one by one. The dark systems lit with explosions as factories and depots turned to ash. Every strike was fast, precise, and merciless. The humans did not stay to claim worlds. They came to destroy the enemy's strength. In one captured outpost, human marines moved through steel corridors. They found alien workers, thin beings with silver skin, bound by chains. When the soldiers freed them, the aliens stared in shock. One of them whispered through a translator, "You are human." The soldier nodded. "You are safe now." The aliens wept. For the first time, they saw a species that did not enslave but saved. As news spread, whispers began to move across the galaxy. Traders, refugees, and hidden networks carried the story: a human fleet has come. They strike like storms. They burn the Zarath ships. They free the slaves. Some feared. Some hoped. All listened. But for the Zarath Dominion, fear turned to anger. Their warlords demanded answers. They could not accept defeat from a species they thought weak. The council gathered in their crystal towers and shouted for blood. They ordered a grand fleet, hundreds of thousands of ships, to hunt the humans. They promised to break Earth and burn every world that carried its flag. Marcus expected this. On the Helios Prime, he studied the new reports. "They are moving their main fleets," Arya said. "Our scouts see massive deployments." Marcus looked at the stars ahead. "Good," he said. "Let them come." The Titan fleet continued its march, striking deeper each day. Human soldiers fought with precision and fury. Their ships left trails of fire in the black. Every pilot carried the same thought: this is for Nova Terra. One night cycle, as the fleet prepared for the next jump, Marcus stood alone in the observation deck. The stars stretched before him, endless and cold. He thought of Adrian and the people who died. He thought of the promise he made in the council chamber. This war was not only about revenge. It was about the future. Humanity would not be hunted. Humanity would not kneel. The galaxy would learn that humans were more than survivors. They were conquerors when pushed to the edge. Behind him, Uriah's voice broke the silence. "General, the scouts have found a massive fleet gathering in the Eternal Void system. It looks like their main force." Marcus turned slowly. His eyes were like steel. "Then that is where this war will be decided." The order went out. The Titan fleet set a new course, their engines burning bright. Ahead lay the greatest battle in human history. The first act of vengeance was complete. The next act would shake the stars. The Titan fleet moved like a storm of fire across the stars. After the first victories, there was no pause. General Marcus knew the enemy would answer soon with full strength, but he would not wait. He wanted to break the Zareth before their grand fleet could unite. His plan was clear: strike deep, burn their worlds, and leave nothing for them to rebuild. On the command deck of Helios Prime, maps of Zareth space glowed red. Dozens of planets filled the screen, each one a fortress of industry and power. Marcus pointed to 3 systems. These are their war factories. Without them, their fleets will starve. We take them out first. Arya gave a firm nod. Scouts confirm heavy defenses, but nothing compared to us. Marcus spoke into the fleet channel. His voice carried strength. Soldiers of Earth, today we strike at the heart of our enemy. The Zareth thought they could burn our homes and live without fear. Now we show them what fear truly is. No hesitation. No mercy for their war machines. For Nova Terra. The response came like thunder across 1,000 ships. For Nova Terra. The first target was Vorik Prime, a planet of black seas and red mountains. Zareth shipyards covered its surface like iron scars. Hundreds of warships rested there, half-built. When the Titan fleet arrived, the sky above Vorik turned into fire. Human dreadnoughts opened with Nova spears, giant cannons that fired beams brighter than suns. The first blast tore through the largest shipyard, splitting it into molten pieces. Shockwaves rolled across the planet as explosions consumed the factories. Zareth defense fleets scrambled to fight, but human rail cannons ripped them apart. Carriers launched swarms of drones that cut down enemy cruisers like falling stars. In the chaos, human marines stormed the orbital stations. They moved fast, planting charges and pulling data from alien cores. Some stations held prisoners from other worlds, thin, frightened beings chained in dark rooms. When the marines freed them, the aliens stared in disbelief. They had never seen warriors who fought to free strangers. One alien whispered through the translator, "You fight for them too." A marine answered, "We fight for all who suffer." The freed prisoners spread stories as they were moved to safe ships. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder, "The humans have come. They do not conquer worlds, they burn chains." When Vorik Prime was nothing but smoke and broken metal, Marcus gave the order to jump. The fleet left behind a dead system and moved to the next target, Zeroth Prime, the beating heart of Zareth war production. Zeroth was a giant planet covered in black steel. Towers rose like blades into the sky, and the surface glowed with the heat of endless factories. Zareth soldiers filled its bunkers, ready for battle. They believed no enemy could breach their fortress. They were wrong. The Titan fleet struck from orbit with precision. Rail slugs the size of tanks rained down, crushing towers like paper. Bombers released seismic charges that shook the planet's crust. Firestorms rolled across the steel plains. Zareth guns fired back, but Earth's shields held strong. Human destroyers flew low, blasting bunkers and silencing every gun. Within hours, the greatest war factory of the Dominion was gone. On Helios Prime, Marcus watched the burning world. His face was calm, but inside, he felt the weight of every life lost, human and alien. Arya stood beside him. "We are winning, sir. Their fleets are still scattered. We can take more." Marcus nodded. "Yes. But soon they will gather. And when they do, it will be here." He pointed at the map, at a place marked in black, eternal void, a dead system of shattered stars. "That is where they plan to stop us." The fleet continued its march. Every day, another Zareth stronghold fell. Orbital rings shattered. Weapon stations burned. The Dominion trembled. Their messages turned from pride to fear. "Stop the humans. Stop them or all is lost." But Earth did not stop. The Titan fleet moved like a blade through the heart of the enemy. Soldiers carried with them a single memory: the faces of Nova Terra. Children running through green fields. Homes that would never rise again. That memory turned every human into iron. News of the human advance reached every corner of the galaxy. Some species watched in silence. Others whispered with hope. For the first time in centuries, someone was breaking the Zoroth chains. When the fleet gathered after the last strike, Marcus stood before his officers. Behind him, the stars burned like cold fire. "The time has come," he said. "Their grand fleet is waiting in eternal void. They want to end this war in one battle. Let them try. We will meet them there, and we will show them what it means to fight humans." The fleet engines roared as coordinates locked. Ahead lay the dead stars, the place where the galaxy would hold its breath. The burning of Zoroth worlds was over. The greatest battle in history was about to begin. The eternal void was a place where stars had died long ago. Broken planets and asteroids floated silently, and space was black as coal. It was the perfect place for the Zoroth to make their stand. From the shadows of shattered moons, their fleet waited 700,000 ships ready to crush the humans. They believed numbers alone would win the day. On the Helios Prime, General Marcus watched the tactical screen. 500,000 human ships spread across the void. Dreadnoughts, carriers, and interceptors moved in precise formations. Every ship was prepared, every soldier focused. Marcus's voice was calm but firm. "This is what we trained for. Remember Nova Terra. Remember every life they took. Today, humanity shows the galaxy its strength." Arya checked the systems. All weapons online. Shields at full power. Enemy fleet is charging. She paused. They do not know what they face. The silence broke as the Zoroth fleet advanced. Red beams lit the darkness as they fired warning shots. Their numbers were overwhelming, but human pilots were ready. Interceptor wings flew ahead, drawing fire and guiding the larger ships into attack positions. Rail cannons hummed across the void. Energy beams flashed like lightning. The first contact was brutal. Human warships struck with precision. One Zoroth battle cruiser was split in two by a rail slug. Plasma bursts tore through enemy wings, cutting apart squadrons before they could react. Smaller human fighters darted through the chaos, hitting weak points on capital ships. The Zoroth roared in fury, but every attack seemed to fail. On the bridge of a Zoroth command ship, officers screamed orders. "Focus fire on the lead human ships. Destroy them." But their commands were drowned in alarms. Ships exploded around them. Even their fastest vessels could not escape the precise strikes of humans. Marcus watched calmly. "Let them come," he said. "We know their weakness." The human fleet moved like a living organism. Carriers launched wave after wave of drones, overwhelming the enemy. Dreadnoughts fired massive beams, splitting enemy cruisers. The void became a storm of fire and steel. Suddenly, the Zoroth launched a superweapon, a planet-killer cannon hidden in an asteroid base. Its beam would have destroyed hundreds of human ships in a single strike. Sensors flashed red as it charged. Marcus did not panic. "Nova spears online," he ordered. Giant cannons powered up, shooting beams brighter than stars. The superweapon exploded in a flash, shattering the asteroid and sending pieces into the void. Human losses were minimal. The Zoroth were shocked. For hours, the battle raged. Asteroids and debris moved like deadly mines. Explosions lit the black sky. Both sides fought with desperation, but human coordination, tactics, and courage gave them the edge. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier knew their goal. They were fighting not just for victory, but for revenge. Every strike remembered Nova Terra. In one small sector, a human squadron moved behind enemy lines. They cut off supply routes and destroyed repair stations. One pilot, a young woman named Selene, flew through enemy fire with precision. Her squad followed without hesitation. Together, they crippled a Zareth wing before it could regroup. Seleni's voice came through the comms calmly, "For Nova Terra." By the end of the cycle, the Zareth fleet was in retreat. Thousands of their ships were destroyed. They fled through the debris field, leaving behind smoke and fire. The humans had won the first great battle of Eternal Void, but Marcus knew the war was not yet over. Their main leaders were alive. They would gather again. Marcus turned to Arya. "Prepare for the next wave. They will not give up easily. Send the survivors to regroup. Reinforce our lines." He paused, looking at the stars. "Today, humanity proved it can stand against the galaxy. Tomorrow, we finish this war." The human fleet gathered, engines glowing like a river of fire. Dreadnoughts repaired lightly damaged shields. Carriers launched fresh drones. Soldiers took a moment to breathe, but only for a moment. Marcus addressed the fleet over the Universal Channel. "This battle is ours. But the war continues. Eternal Void is only the beginning. The Zareth thought they could intimidate us. They were wrong. We are humans. We fight. We survive. And we conquer when we must." Across the void, the remnants of the Zareth fleet fled to regroup. Their leaders were shaken. They had underestimated humans. Every report they sent back was filled with horror. This was not a simple race. This was a species that would rise no matter how high they fell. The Eternal Void grew quiet again, but only for a moment. The stars would soon see fire once more. The Titan fleet had proven itself. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was unstoppable. The Titan fleet moved toward Zareth Prime, the heart of the Dominion. The capital world was massive, a spinning globe of red steel and black oceans. From space, its cities glimmered with lights that were like eyes watching the approaching humans. The Zareth had called for their final defense. Millions of ships gathered in orbit, ready to defend their leaders. They believed they could stop the humans. They were wrong. On the Helios Prime, General Marcus stood at the observation deck. Behind him, Uria and the officers prepared reports. "All ships in formation," she said. "Weapons are ready. Shields at maximum. Enemy fleet is waiting." Marcus nodded. "This is it. Every life lost on Nova Terra. Every factory we burned. Every victory in the void has led here. Humanity will finish this fight." Across the fleet, soldiers checked their weapons. Pilots loaded fighters. Marines prepared for planetary landings. Every person on these ships knew their goal: end the war, and make the Zareth understand humans cannot be harmed without consequence. As the fleet approached, the Zareth fired first. Red beams streaked through space, exploding against shields. The battle began in a flash of light. Dreadnoughts fired massive rail cannons, carriers released swarms of drones, and human fighters darted through the chaos. Zareth ships were strong, but human coordination and tactics were stronger. Ships that had been legends in their own empire fell one by one. Marcus gave the order. "Break their formation. Strike at the heart of Zareth Prime." The fleet responded instantly. Squadrons moved like a single body. Explosions lit the void. Alien vessels tried to retreat, but humans cut off every path. The largest Zareth battleships burned brightly as they were torn apart. Below in the cities, the humans launched landing forces. Soldiers moved through the streets with precision. Zareth leaders attempted to organize defenses, but the humans had learned every tactic. They neutralized communication towers, disabling the enemy's coordination. The streets filled with smoke, and alarms screamed across the city, but the humans moved forward calmly. Every step was a step closer to victory. In the council chambers of Zareth Prime, leaders begged for mercy. "We surrender," they shouted. "Spare our people." Marcus's voice came over the Universal Channel. Calm and cold, he spoke, "You destroyed our homes and killed our people. You brought this war to your doorstep. You are forgiven in only one way: surrender unconditionally. From this day, no empire will harm humans again. The leaders bowed, trembling. The humans took control of Zareth Prime. Soldiers secured every sector, ensuring no hidden threat remained. Prisoners were freed, and alien species that had been enslaved were given a choice: leave or stay with protection under human command. In the orbital stations above, Marcus looked at the battlefield. Stars reflected the fire below. His fleet had done what many thought impossible. Humanity had faced an empire and won. Send a message to Earth, he said. Tell them Zareth Prime is under control. The war is over. A signal traveled across the galaxy. Humans everywhere heard it: Zareth Dominion defeated. Nova Terra avenged. Humanity stands strong. Back on Earth, the news brought tears and cheers. The United Earth Council held a ceremony, honoring every soldier, every pilot, and every sailor who had fought. Statues of Adrian and the people of Nova Terra were placed in the hall, reminding everyone why humans had fought. Marcus returned to Earth. He stood at the memorial for Nova Terra. Green fields surrounded statues of the fallen colony. A river ran through the park, reflecting the sunlight. He placed a hand on the stone of Adrian's name. They thought we were weak. Now the galaxy knows we are human. We fight, we survive, and we protect what is ours. Across the galaxy, other alien races sent messages of respect. They had watched humanity rise from destruction and strike with power and honor. For the first time in centuries, humans were not only survivors, they were leaders. They were a species that would not be controlled, a species that would defend life and freedom wherever it was threatened. In the skies above Zareth Prime, the Titan fleet remained for a short time. Ships repaired, soldiers rested, and drones cleared the remaining debris. Then, slowly, the fleet began its journey home. Engines glowed like a river of light as humans returned to Earth, proud and undefeated. Marcus watched from the Helios Prime, looking at the stars. He knew this victory was not the end. Humanity would grow stronger. Nova Terra would be remembered. And the galaxy would never forget: humans were a force to be respected. They were protectors, warriors, and conquerors when necessary. The Titan fleet entered the path home. Silence filled the ships, but it was not empty. It was the silence of victory, of justice, and of a promise kept. Humanity had been tested and had triumphed. The galaxy had burned, but from that fire, humans rose stronger than ever. And so, Earth's vengeance was complete.